Our vision and mission is really to help our SMBs grow, expand, make new trade relationships, while actually helping them manage their overall cash flow and gaining more access to capital quicker, better, easier. That's where it gets interesting, right? Because we sit on so much data throughout that trade relationship with their buyers that where we can introduce the right offer at the right time for the right person. For me, it's really about how can we leverage and introduce financial services into solutions that are not necessarily financial services related. There's a common notion out there that almost all software company is a fintech company when you start looking at it, because there's always a need for funds and financial services to be managed within that company. So if you're going back to what Tradeshift is doing, there's a great opportunity here to extend the trade relationship where we know what a buyer is looking for. We know and help facilitate that trade with the purchase request, purchase orders, and the invoices. So it's kind of a natural extension now to take the next step here and introduce payments or insights to helping these guys to gain access to capital versus a term loan or a cash advance, earlier payment, etc. If you were to go and ask for like a business loan today as a small business, unless you've been in business for like at least 3 years, there's 40% will not be, or it could be even more than 40% that may not even be approved for that business loan. And that assumes you have to now go through the process of providing a lot of documentation, tax returns 3 years back, and the decision could take up to a month before you even know if you're approved or not. So, and that's just the access to capital. Now, as a small business, I may not have the luxury to be able to plan what will happen if I'm a baker and my oven breaks tomorrow. I need cash and access to capital tomorrow because that's like my bread and butter, no pun intended, right? That oven needs to be fixed. And I can't wait for a month to maybe be approved for something like that. Again, I think it goes back to just the way businesses have traditionally managed these type of relationships, the supply chain. They've been, I don't want to say stuck, but they have their ways of working and operating, and it just takes longer for that side to move to be much more agile and digital. And it's definitely ramping up, which is, and I think largely driven by not only the macro pandemic push for more digital, but also just that the technology and the providers out there allows these type of solutions now to come to market much quicker than before. Obviously, the buyers that are coming on to the platform, the network today, bring a lot of the suppliers, and with that and how they process that trade relationship on Tradeshift, right? It really helps us with the data is really the key here. We see what's being facilitated both to the buyer, but also from the buyer. And as we continue to look outside of the network and how we can expand the network participants and help them grow, some of the new and more like innovative products that we're looking at is to bring in data sources from the outside to help make that, to drive further stickiness for our buyers and sellers. So they have, again, one place to go, whether it's, I have data, I have income, accounts receivable processed through my ERP, but I prefer to leverage the Tradeshift network because there are features that, I don't have through my ERP provider, like better tracking of where my buyer is. I can collaborate with my buyer if I have an issue, if I'm a seller. I can get my funds paid quicker if I'm a seller. I can have the flexibility of paying my seller if I'm a buyer much better than through my ERP. Yeah, I'm super excited about the space in general. I think there's a massive opportunity here, whether it's, you know, helping our suppliers or buyers, right? If you're a supplier, I definitely want to have a predicted pattern of when I get paid. I want to allow my buyer to have the flexibility to pay that invoice whenever, however. And from a buyer perspective, that would be nice too, right? To say, you know, if I can pay it now using a card, or if I can use a bank-to-bank transfer, or if I can do a kind of a buy now, pay later, flexible terms type product, that would also benefit me, right? Because now I can kind of manage my own, have much more control over my own cash flow than previously, where I had to have my monthly cycles tied to a paper check that went out. It took, you know, as a seller, I wouldn't get paid on it unless there was a business day, because, you know, you couldn't cash the check until the banks were open, right? So I think, again, there's a lot of opportunity in different areas here, for sure.